Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Sorry, let's see here. Yeah, sorry, I'm not great at technology and still kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to be doing this. And it's going to work for sure, no doubt, no doubt. Okay, awesome. I think, yeah. If I can get anybody in the chat to just say like we hear you, to make sure that everything is more or less copacetic, that would be awesome. And then if it is, I will start to share this. Let's see here. Hell yeah. Oh man, glad to hear it. Thank you. There's a very odd there's a delay. Um Shoot. Oh my god. This is fine. I'm fine. Oh my god. What the fuck? Okay, theoretically I'm back. This is chaos. This platform's fine but not good. Okay, so it sounds like kind of choppy for some people. That is suboptimal. Let's see here. It's just going to take a second for me to figure this out. Let's see here. Oh my god. You've gotta be fucking kidding me. Okay, Christ. Well, that's not ideal. Okay. Okay, hypothetically, I'm back. I am going to share this, and I, hopefully will not mess this up again. It'll be very exciting for everybody. If you're wondering why I'm looking to the side, it's because 'cause I'm the screen that I am seeing all of your chats on is over here, and, this will theoretically be less weird soon. Okay, let's thank you, Eric. Appreciate you. We are going to make this happen. It is going to be okay. All right, so let's get started. So, hi, thanks for coming out. Thank you for sending questions. Also, feel free to drop them in the chat as we go on. Before we get started, though, I have a couple announcements. So, as you may have seen on some of the Substacks I posted recently, and I think I've also mentioned it on social media, I was in Portland, Oregon for the last 4 months caring for a family member who had terminal cancer. I am no longer in Portland. That person has passed away. This is very sad. It is also a blessing. If anyone's seen somebody die of cancer, it's a horrible way to go. And I'm not telling you this for no reason. I'm not just like complaining about my life. This is important because as a result of this very sad thing, my financial situation has changed considerably. I've been really open about my financial situation on the Substack and on social media. And so it is only fair that I continue to be open about it now that the news is good. If you have been a paid subscriber at any point or donated money at any point over the last 6 to 12 months, please know that you paid my rent. You are the reason that I was able to pay my rent. I will be grateful to you forever. And as I've said on this platform and on social media, the reason that I have a paywall is because I needed it to pay my rent. Well, excellent news. I don't need it to pay my rent anymore. I don't have enough money to like never work again. That's not the situation at all. But I do have enough money to where I don't need this money to pay my rent. And therefore, as of about 5 minutes ago, the paywall is down. The paywall will remain down. If you subscribe because you wanted to support me in my hour of need and you feel like that money could be better used elsewhere, please, feel free to go back to being a free subscriber. I am not trying to con anyone into helping somebody who no longer needs that kind of desperate help. If you would like to continue to be a paid member, please do that also. Like I said, this isn't like fuck you money. This is I'm not going to be homeless money. It's very exciting. I'm very happy about it. I wish that the circumstances under which this had happened were better. But we live in a society where, as I have said, there are three ways to make it as a journalist, which are you can either be born wealthy, come into wealth, marry into it, inherit it, or starve. And so I was in category 3. I'm not in category 2. There will be, I'm hoping, a better output because of that. However, I'm also have decided I am going to be going completely off grid between September 20th and October 20th. I think that, I now have that opportunity, have that luxury. And I think that my brain would benefit from not reacting all the time. I think that all of us are basically just kept in this like extremely highly reactive state all the time on purpose because the world is god awful, because social media is happening, because they're flooding the zone with bullshit. Like every single day, we're just reacting. And so I'm trying to break that cycle. I'm going to go into the woods. I'm going to be reading and walking around and thinking about what comes next because this is untenable. I will not be leaving y'all with nothing. I am planning to basically go through the archive of, I have this whole folder full of articles that are like 95% there. And then something came up and I had to do it. And then it just kind of died in the vine. Some of them might not be super relevant anymore, but I think some of them are really good. I'm going to just have those scheduled to come out while I'm gone. So that is news. And there's some other news, but I'd like to actually start with a question that kind of plays into the final piece of thing that I have to tell you. So let's jump into that as soon as I find it, which I will, because I know how to use a computer. Okay. So, hi, Laura. Would like to hear you talk about being on Substack and other platforms that are run by evil fucks and how you square the circle of your beliefs. This is not meant as an attack, but a genuine question. I think I understand a little, as I quit all things Meta and Twitter/X a few years back, even though I found it useful to connect with friends and family in other countries because, as kind of the inverse and a paraphrase of what Dr. Rose said recently, so I'm assuming in shitification, I've not been following him as close as that man is incredible. People love their friends more than they hate Zuckerberg. I am a cis white male Gen Xer, but have always been a lefty, proud father of a trans kid and one other one too. And have had discussions with the former about them still using Meta apps and how, unfortunately, you have to be where the people you want to reach are, so it is hard, but I think it is still worth thinking about. You want to say fuck you to the fascist AI tech bro billionaires and deprive them of data, but you also can't get everyone you know to all leave at the same time, so you stick around for them. In the end, I decided that after giving my friends a heads up, if they actually wanted to still keep in touch, they could find me. I grew up pre-internet, so it's not as alien as it would be to younger people. Not the same for you, as this is your livelihood, I know. Um, Amazing question, and frankly, you already kind of answered it. A lot of what you just said, dear questioner, is what I have been thinking about a lot. It's a weird balance because, like, on the one hand, if you are using these horrible tech platforms like the one I'm using literally right now and the one that I use to push out links, platforms that are either like downright evil or are at very least keeping us in that high level of alert that I just mentioned, um, well, then you are contributing to that. You are providing an incentive for people to continue to participate in the structures. On the other hand, if you don't go where the people are, then nobody hears you and you're just kind of shouting into the void. And so, like, how do you strike a balance between those two things? I think it's a tightrope and I don't have a good answer. And this is one of the reasons that I'm wanting to think about things. One reason that I've continued to be on Substack and other platforms is, as previously mentioned, I really need to pay my rent. And so I people who've been around for a while may recall that when, in I believe early 23, when we learned about Substack allowing Nazis to monetize on Substack, I moved. I left for Beehive, along with several other people, and I gave it a try for, I think, 6 or 7 months, and it was not good. Maybe Beehive is better now. I don't know. All I can tell you is that when I was on it, it is the worst platform I've ever been on as far as just functionality. That's just true. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. It was something that I did in haste. It was something where I was like, well, I'm going to get off, and hopefully, if everyone else gets off Substack too, we'll force them to change their policies. That did not happen, and I ended up back here because with Beehive, I was losing out on the money I needed to pay my rent. As previously mentioned, I am no longer in that financial desperation. And so I am going to be working on moving off of Substack. This is not going to happen quickly. I went in haste last time and I chose the wrong platform and I didn't have a good plan for how to sustain things. And that won't be happening again. This could take a long time. I want to try to make my own website. That's going to take a while. I want to figure out how to market it. That's going to take a while. We are looking at another rebrand. It'll be the last one. I have an idea for it. But, I do want to get off of these platforms, and not just because it gives these people money, but because it keeps people engaged in these platforms. But it is going to be constantly a tightrope for me and everybody, right? Because, that was the period where, I got off of Substack. I got off of Twitter. I wasn't really yet on Blue Sky. And I was just kind of screaming into the void with no way to get people to come and look at what I'm writing. And I'm writing because I want people to read what I'm writing. So it's hard. It's really hard. And I think especially now with these tech pros who are running these platforms, Elon Musk is you know, guy number one. And I'm not on Twitter a lot, but I still use the platform to promote and occasionally post. And that is feeding the beast. That is, even though I'm not a monetized member, I am providing content for one of the most evil people on the planet. So yeah, this is not a satisfying answer. I don't have a good one, except that it is a problem. And I do think that if we're going to survive this and we're going to get out of this trap the tech billionaires have laid for us, then yeah, we do have to create our own systems. And I'm hoping to be able to do that. So yeah, I think that's it for the large announcement. Um, Somebody has mentioned Ghost, and I've looked at Ghost, and I think Ghost is really good for somebody who just wants a newsletter. It seems like a really good platform for people who want to be newsletter based. I understand there's a web interface as well, but it's not what I want. And so, oh God, that is not what I want. Please stop. Yeah, it's just going to be like that. I don't know how to use technology. This is why it's going to take a while, because we have to find someone who knows how to work technology. But yeah, I think, look, I'll look at Ghost. I don't love what I'm seeing from Ghost, but I am going to keep working on it. This is a thing that I'm committed to, and watch this space, or don't watch this space if you don't want to participate in Substack. But we use the tools we have to communicate, and we work to find better tools when we can. So, with that out of the way, let's get to some questions, which I definitely had pulled up. and then definitely closed out of. Um, Also, feel free to throw questions in the Substack as I go through this in the chat. Um, okay, so I got a couple questions about Oman. Here's one of them, and we'll just lump them all together. What are your thoughts about 47's threat to Oman, given your experiences there? Are you in touch with folks there? I'm not in touch with folks there, unfortunately. It was not that kind of, I did not manage to keep in touch. I really wish that Trump would not threaten to blow up Oman. It's insane. That article that I wrote several months ago about Trump losing friends and alienating people by managing to alienate a country who's actually done a very good job of staying neutral while being in the middle of the Middle East, and who has successfully helped the United States negotiate with people like Iran. I mean, with real tangible results, not just like memoranda of understanding, but actually like getting back people who were arrested in Iran and brokering the Obama nuclear deal, which is a hell of a lot better than anything we have going on right now. And, at the time that I wrote that article, Trump was already, um, he'd already basically written them off, mostly because they were pointing out or saying that, Iran had made major concessions, and Trump and company had decided to bomb them anyway. And now he's threatening to bomb Oman because when all you have is a hammer, I guess everything looks like a nail. Like, he does need Oman. Like, he needs Oman. We need Oman. Like, if we want to control, not even like personally control the Strait of Hormuz, if we don't want Iran to control the Strait of Hormuz, we have to be friends with the nation that controls the other side of it. And since Trump has completely shat the bed on that, like, of course Oman is looking at their options, because Trump has closed the door on being neutral. Like, Oman cannot be neutral. They are across a very small body of water from a nation that can and will bomb them, and has sent a couple, small minor strikes to prove that point, or a loose cannon halfway across the world who is very powerful, but does appear to be losing this war quite badly. I don't know if people have been following, but it would appear that we have been losing it more badly than I thought. Not only is Iran making us look like absolute fools on a world stage, not only are they refusing to concede, not only are they closing off a major thoroughfare for oil that powers our economy, not only is all that happening, but it would appear that the reason that the USS Lincoln was not resupplied is because Iran crippled that base. The base which would have resupplied them was not destroyed, but severely hampered by Iranian bombs. It appears that we have, by all reports, expended 90% of our munitions. I'm not good at the names of weaponry. I have friends who are. I'm not one of them, but the missiles, etc., that we've been sending at them, 90% gone. It would appear that they have struck, I believe, 17 bases across the Middle East, which has permanently rearranged our power there, something that had not come out. Yes, somebody has pointed out logistics issues. And yeah, like, traditionally, America's great strength has been logistics. Like, that's why we used to win wars. And that is now crumbled. Kevin has pointed out this is the Strait of Americas now. And I want to apologize to everyone for getting that wrong. It is the Trump derangement syndrome talking. I am terribly sorry. Um, and yeah, it's Trump is just, he's dug himself a hole, and I think he's just decided to try to dig through the crust of the earth, and it's not working well. So I am not happy that that's happening. I am not optimistic that that's going to improve. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, except that this is such a god awful mess. And also, I need to mute my phone. I'm going to go off camera for a second. I will be right back. Hold on 1 second here. Oh, I didn't go off camera. How very exciting. Yes, logistical fleet, pretty old now. A lot of it run by civilians. And I do wonder how many of those got kneecapped by Doge. My guess is a non-zero number. And I agree, Bill. I do think the U.S. military may be weaker than any time since 1943. And frankly, in some ways weaker than that, because in 1943 we had competent leadership, and we don't have that anymore. We don't have it in the White House. Pete Hegseth has been doing his little purges. of people with experience, top brass who don't look the way he thinks that soldiers should look. We are in terrible danger as America, as a country, from foreign aggression, and we have no one to blame but ourselves. It is the most incredible own goal I've ever seen in my life, in living memory. I don't know enough about world history to like from, for the millennia that humans have been having civilization to say confidently, like, it's the greatest own goal. Probably not the greatest, but it's got to be the top 10, 20. I don't know. It's bad. Um, man, hmm. Phillips O'Brien. I have not read him, and I will check him out. Yeah, it's really bad. Okay. Well, this started out very cheerful. Let's keep going. Um, I love this one. You mentioned a while ago the assassination of Charlie Kirk would irreparably change things. Now that Kirkification and Candace Owens have taken the mantle to unearth the truth, what are your thoughts now? I I think that it has, if anything, had more of an impact than I thought it would, but not necessarily in the way that I thought it would. First of all, it did have an impact in the way that I feared, which was a crackdown on leftist dissent. We have not seen the fruits of that, but the start of that began in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk and was pushed through because of it. Right after Kirk's assassination, Antifa was declared a domestic terror organization, and shortly after that, NSPM 7 was pushed, which essentially makes anybody who disagrees with the administration into a supporter, at best, of domestic terrorism, which would include anti-American ideas, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, anti-tech extremism, whatever the hell that means. I assume that means not using AI. Hello, I fall into many of these categories. I mean, I don't think I'm anti-American, but I assure you from their perspective, just about everyone in this chat, I would guess if not everyone in this chat, would qualify for that mantle. And that was pushed because of Charlie Kirk. And it also, and this is a weird one, but the outpouring of joy at Kirk's death was very radicalizing for the right. And I know that sounds absolutely batshit insane, because we have seen how the right reacts when anything bad happens to anyone on the left. For God's sake, when Rob Reiner, I believe his name was, the guy who directed The Princess Bride and many other beloved films, was murdered by his son, Trump took to social media to talk about how cool that was. Like, so it's, I think, a little shocking to the senses that, like, the left's reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination was a game changer for a lot of people on the right, but, like, they don't see that the way that we do. And I'm not saying that's good. It's not good. It's absolutely um not, well, it's not. It's ridiculous. It's not good, but it is what's happening. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people at various events who said that that was like a very radicalizing moment for them, where they didn't think they could even be friends with people on the left. And frankly, I was a little bit guilty of that. I don't think I went as far as a lot of people. I was genuinely upset about what happened. I don't want to live in a country where that happens. I also don't think it's particularly surprising that we do. Um, at one point where they were trying to crack down on free speech, I took to Twitter and said, "Fuck Charlie Kirk. I could say what I want." And a lot of people who were allegedly free speech stopped talking to me. And that was a bit of an own goal on my part. It wasn't really worth it, although I maintained that it was correct to, I can say whatever I want. Free country, where it should be. Last I checked, First Amendment still more or less intact, hypothetically, kind of. Anyway, a bit of a rambling answer on that. However, that is not the only impact that Charlie Kirk's death has had. You could argue that the bigger impact actually has been the way that it has fractured the right, which I did not see coming, and which I don't think a lot of the people who spoke at his funeral, for example, saw coming. People really thought that this assassination was going to bring the right together to attack a common enemy, which were the rabid, radical leftists who murdered their beautiful boy. And that might have happened, except that it didn't, because Candace Owens decided to make it her life's goal to ask some questions about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And some of those questions are absolutely goddamn ridiculous. I don't think there were tunnels under the stage. I am not at all convinced that Mossad was behind it. Candace Owens is a virulent anti-Semite, which is different from being anti-Zionist, but she is both. She is anti-Zionist and virulently anti-Semitic, to the point where, just a fun fact, she believes that anti-Black racism is because of, big air quote, the Jews. That is true. That is what she thinks. She is an absolute psychopath. I do have some questions about how a rifle that was designed to hunt elk and bear didn't go through Charlie Kirk's neck. I do have some questions about that, frankly. I think that this is a long answer. I apologize, but you knew what you were getting into. Y'all know I talk a lot. I have some questions about the alleged text exchange between Tyler Robinson and his girlfriend. That was some of the most stilted writing I've ever seen in my entire life. I have some questions about the gun, which was disassembled and then reassembled for some reason and left in the woods for some reason. I have a lot of questions, and I think that like 5% of what Candace Owens is asking, I would also like some answers to that. It is weird. Something's very weird about it. It clearly struck a chord with a lot of people, and that brought out a lot of things in the open. It Yes. By the way, yeah, Kevin has made an excellent point. A lot of people portrayed Charlie Kirk as an unassuming political commentator, and that is exactly what people saw. I actually very nearly lost a relationship with my stepbrother, who has 3 children who I love more than anything in the world, and I love him too. He's my brother, but we very nearly had a falling out over it because my brother is not particularly plugged in, and that is how he sees Charlie Kirk or saw Charlie Kirk. Was it just like a commentator, not as a pusher of the Seven Mountain Mandate and a pusher of actual goddamn white supremacy and a lot of other things as well. So I think that, yeah, that's a really important point to make as well. Like there's a disconnect between the realities that we live in, and this was an example of that. Anyway, with Candace Owens going off grid and off the path to basically become a full blown Kirk truther, I guess. It fractured the right in ways that go way beyond Charlie Kirk's murder. Candace Owens going deep into anti-Semitism with all of this, like deeper than usual, was suddenly a real cause for concern. And there started to be a real divide in camps between the people who would have Candace Owens on their show and people who would not. And then this escalated into Ben Shapiro at America Fest 2025, calling for, by name, calling out Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and I'm forgetting somebody, for platforming Candace Owens. And that sparking a whole thing about Ben Shapiro trying to silence truth tellers. It's great. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Absolutely no pity for that motherfucker. Sorry, Ben. Like, I don't know what you expected. You platformed her when she was promoting Nazis too, actually. Anyway, what I am trying to say in my extremely roundabout way is that Charlie Kirk's assassination, I think, is one of the most impactful events, frankly, of the 21st century. And that might sound extreme, but the full-blown MAGA civil war we're seeing between, more traditional MAGA, the Nick Fuentes types, and some of the Christian nationalists who are also kind of having a moment. I mean, it's complicated, but they're in a hot civil war. They're going to lose the midterms because of it, which is the opposite of what they thought would happen. So my thoughts are that very impactful, more impactful than I thought, actually, and not in the ways that I thought it would be. So I have no doubt that it's going to continue to spiral, and somebody will write an amazing book about it, and I can't wait to read it. Um, Thoughts on the gravesite of Dobby from Harry Potter diverting a clean energy line to actual paleontological sites. I found out about this through Dave Jurgensen, who does the shorts, used to do them for Washington Post and now does them for YouTube, and was shocked, but not as shocked as I want to be. I'm going to say something really controversial. Harry Potter is not real. And frankly, it is an embarrassment to me as a millennial that so many of my fellow millennials have made Harry Potter into a personality. Look, if you like Harry Potter, that's fine. Good for you. I liked it when I was a kid. I didn't love it. It didn't change my life. If it changed your life, that's awesome. Sorry, J.K. Rowling's such a piece of shit. The Harry Potter books, great. Glad you love them. Dobby's not real. Even if Dobby was real, I think he's more important than paleontological sites. It's completely fucking insane that the Harry Potter fan contingent has more pull over our administration than basic environmentalism and like the desire to not disturb paleontological sites. I don't know what else to say about it. It's completely insane. It's one of those things where it's just like, you despair. You despair for humanity. Is it the worst thing that's happened this year? Not even close. Is it the dumbest? Probably not. Is it really dumb? Yeah, it's like embarrassing. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. This sort of thing is highly unusual for me because I am a person who generally avoids awkward social interactions, and time is incredibly valuable, and there's absolutely no obligation here. So feel free to just ignore this, but could you please just answer one quick question, shit out of characters? Yes, I will answer one quick question. Next question. There was no follow-up, by the way. That was it. All right, we've got another Oman question here. Seeing the Jubilee video declaring Tim Pool a moderate. Yeah. I didn't see the video. I did see the clip where Tim Pool walked off, and then that guy put a beanie on. That was really fun. And that's not really the question, is it? The question is how Tim Pool became a moderate. And like even in our absolute upside down world, that's not the case. And I mean, what is there to say? That's what they want. They are trying to shift the Overton window to the point where Tim Pool is the moderate, Nick Fuentes is to the far right, and like I don't even know what extremism anymore. I assume the base and Adam Waffen, right? Like I don't even know what the extreme right would be at this point for them. And by extreme right, I mean like where they were like 5 years ago. Anyway, horrifying shit. Oh, Kevin has pointed out something. Some people, the idea that Charlie Kirk would have been pro-Palestine for some reason after endorsing Israel is, yeah, this is the thing, right? Where like Candace Owens just like really just decided to poke every bear at once. And look, it's done wonders for her career. Like she was already doing pretty well on the podcast circuit, videocast circuit, and now she's like a household name in a way that she just wasn't. So, she's a savvy businesswoman. I will give her that. She's an idiot. She's insane. She's making the world a worse place in every possible way, but she is very smart. You know, I know under no circumstance you have to hand it to people, but you should hand it to people because, like, just calling everyone dumb and stupid is actually not good. Like, Candace Owens is pretty smart. Tim Pool is dumb as a box of rocks. It has been really fun to watch him crash out. He's not doing well. I saw a fun video today. Somebody had apparently Alex Jones and Tim Pool are feuding now. I forget who. I mean, he's just feuding with everybody. So like Tim Pool might be a moderate to Jubilee, but he's not doing great. And I really hope that he has a full-on psychotic break because I really, he is so dumb. He is so dumb. Like him and Dan Bongino are like two of the dumbest people on the internet. They're so stupid and it hurts me. It hurts me to hear their voices. And like, it's important that I keep up on them more or less, and therefore I wish they would both just go away. I wish they would retire to a small enclave or island with no internet connection and live out their days happy and free. This is not me advocating violence. This is just me wishing they would go away. So yeah, moderate Tim Pool and his moderate opinions. God help us all. Um, why do you think the sort of pro-police, anti-crime argument isn't sticking with flock cameras? Y'all are sending really good questions. I just want to like say that. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it was true. Thank you. Like these have all been bangers. Except for the one where he didn't ask a question. Please ask a question, you silly person. This is such a good question because yeah, like for so long, the whole, well, if you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to hide. And the cops are just trying to keep us safe. Like that's worked so well. And like in 2020, there was a brief moment where it didn't work. And then it just, the pendulum swung back and just, I don't know, broke something on the way back swinging where like even talking about like maybe defunding the police and giving those funds to someone else is like taboo and extreme and, you know, not moderate like Tim Pool. That's crazy talk. Oh my God. Yeah. And yet flock cameras are freaking people the hell out. And I think I, I, I I don't know if what I'm about to say is true. This is just, these are my thoughts. There's probably more nuance than what I'm about to say. I think part of it is that people are becoming more aware of the ubiquity of surveillance than they have been in the past. I think that this has been building up. I think that there was a time where it really did feel like if you had nothing to hide, you had nothing to fear. It didn't feel like we were all living in a panopticon. What's changed isn't the government, actually, although the government is a lot scarier and is targeting people that they weren't targeting. So that's something, I guess, come to think of it, I'm lying. That is something. Like the fact that the government, like that ICE is like going to people's houses for making mean posts about them. That they're compiling a database of people with, information on people who are insulting them. The armed paramilitary force throwing people into concentration camps with no due process is making dossiers on people who don't like them. That's a thing that's happening. And I think like not everyone is aware in that kind of granular detail, but I think people are aware that like the government is becoming a lot more aggressive against people who are truly just using their First Amendment rights. I think that ICE's presence on the street is also freaking people the hell out. Most people did not vote for this. Trump fans did. Extremists did. There's no doubt people did vote for this, but a lot of people did not vote for Trump because they thought that ICE was going to be on the street doing what they're doing right now. And it's why his approval rating is lower than it's ever been, ever, at any point. It's so I think that's part of it. I think the other thing is that like private surveillance has increased to such a horrifying extent. I think that we are really beginning to wake up to the extent to which our data is being used for the gain of private companies. Like, it was bad enough when they were just advertising to us, like, you'd talk about something on the phone, and then 2 hours later, you'd see an ad for it. It's an experience we've all had, and, like, they can tell us till they're blue in the face that they're not listening to us. I don't believe them, and I don't think anybody does. Um, I think that's part like, I think people are just more on edge. Um, let's see here. We've got, yeah, Flock CEO calling deflock terrorists probably didn't help. Classic tech CEO behavior. Yeah, I think that's the other thing is these guys are puffing their own farts to the point where, like, every time they talk to the public, it's just kind of like, yeah, we're surveilling you and we're gonna monitor you and you're gonna like it, bitch. Like, people don't like being talked to that way. You know, Americans infamously do not like being told what to do, and they're telling us what to do. And I also think that this is, I mean, this is gonna sound very mundane, but like everybody speeds. And I know that's not why people are angry. Like, people are angry about much better reasons than that. But everybody speeds. People already do not like speeding cameras. Like, people can say, like, people can begrudgingly be like, okay, I get that they like should exist, but like nobody likes those guys. It's not, they started with a pretty unpopular concept and then just made it like orders of magnitude worse. So yeah, I think it's a combination of those things. I think people are beginning to wake up to the hellscape that we're in. I think that people have soured on technology generally for reasons. I mean, all this talk about AI stealing everyone's job is freaking people the hell out. I don't think AI is going to steal everyone's job. I think that AI is a tool that can maybe be used for a few very limited use cases. I'm hoping to actually write about why I will never use AI in any capacity at all. I have used ChatGPT once in my life. I will not be using it again. And anyway, that's a tangent. I'll be writing about that. I think it's important. But yeah, I think this flock camera thing is actually kind of a sea change. I think this and the data centers, people are really beginning to wake up to like the myth of progress, that progress is always in a good direction, is a myth. Like, that's not real. That's not true. And there's no reason that it would be. Like, we had a whole book about this. I know 1984 is over quoted, but like we have a whole book about how bad it is when technology is used in this way. And so I think people are really beginning to wake up to the fact, like, no, like not all technological progress is good. And we should be asking questions. Um, Eric pointing out that ice apparently needs electrified gloves to help protect them. Yeah. I'm gonna make a really bold statement here, and I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but I don't think sadists should be given gloves like that. We already know what they do, and now we know what they're going to do. It's no secret how they're going to use those gloves. Um, we are in a really, really dark timeline, and I am personally finding it very hard to deal with a lot. I really hope that we can find a way out of this, but I am very worried. Kevin pointing out we can actually fix speeding with speed bumps. Contract the company using the word to describe sheep. Okay, I'm a little embarrassed that it hadn't occurred to me that that's what flock means. That's horrifying. I do enjoy that tech bros are so absolutely comedically super villainous that they'll do things like, oh, we're going to do Palantir. We're going to do Anduril. We're going to do Flock. They do not bother to hide. They are convinced they've already won. By the way, this is a bit of a tangent, but I saw a great quote from Gil Duran, who recently came out with a book entitled The Nerd Reich, which I am about to read. I can't wait. I'm very angry at Gil Duran for coming up with that title. I wake up every day furious that I didn't come up with it. It's so good. It's incredible. Yeah, you're right. I do apologize. That is offensive to sadists. They are unethical sadists. Can we go with that? Abusers. We can go with abusers. Yeah, no hate for the sadists amongst us. That's just fine. Have fun consensually in good ways. Yeah, those guys though, fuck those guys. The non-consensual abuser types. No, thank you. I mean, I do think it's important to point out that these guys like enjoy inflicting pain on people. Like, there's ethical ways to do that, but they're not doing that. Anyway, yeah, but Gilderan had this incredible quote, something like, and I'm paraphrasing here, but like, look, if they can imagine a world without us, we can imagine a world without them. And yeah, I'm going to read that book. I hope other people will read it. I really hope that it does well. Gilderan's been doing incredible work for years, and I really hope this can be his time to shine. Okay, moving on to the next question. and I didn't know about this. There's a debate in the online left about, is the DSA co-opting leftist populism into electoralism, thus reinforcing the mainstream political class? Do you think this is true? Here's what I think. I think that electing Zoran Mamdani is one of the only good things that has happened in the last 2 years. Is he perfect? No. Is he doing everything that he said he would do? No. Is he doing more than I thought he would do? Yes. I would have been happy if he'd done 20% of what he did. And he's working towards the very big promises that he made. He's working towards free childcare. He's working on the bus thing. He's housing a little slower than I'd like, but he seems to be working on that too. I think that what Zoran is doing is showing people in a very real way that socialist government, and I use socialism very loosely, New Deal democratic government is not Stalinist Russia. I think that what you're seeing on the ground in New York is you're seeing potholes being filled. You're seeing the city run not worse but better. That second snowstorm, for people who live in New York, I mean, it was amazing. It was just gone. Like the snow, the city was back up and running in very short order, which is hard in a city where there's nowhere to, like, in this, in other cities you can you can plow the snow onto the side of the road. There are no sides of the road in New York. They were trucking it out. You know what I mean? Things like this are showing people who are very hostile to the idea of socialism that it can work for them, that it can actually be good. And I think it's lovely that people have these dreams of revolution or whatever. Um, I think that if they want to work on revolution, they should do that. If that's something that they think will work out, and they think they have a plan where we can have um, a more radical approach that will work and not simply result in larger crackdowns, as we have seen repeatedly, then I think they should feel free to go ahead and do that. But I don't really see that working very well. I'm not saying that Zoran Mamdani is like a solution to our crisis. I'm not saying that that is all that we have to do. But I think it is an unequivocal good thing that he was elected. And it is unequivocally good that he is in charge of New York and doing a pretty damn good job. And I think that there are certain online leftists who really don't care about winning. They just want purity. They want utopia. There's the utopian left. Let's talk about this for a second. Listen, I would love a utopia too, and I have a tendency towards utopian thinking, like a lot of Americans do. America's a utopian project. We want perfection. It's good to want perfection. We're never going to get that. We're not. Human beings kind of suck. Like, I love humans. We're great, right? We're cool. There's a lot that's really good about us. We've done amazing things. I look around, you can see good human stuff every day. But also, humans have been, stealing and murdering and raping since humans were humans. And so you will never have a utopia. And you certainly will not go from what the hell we have right now, which is a dystopia and rapidly getting more dystopian, to a utopia. There is no like magical revolution button that's going to make that happen. And so it would be really nice, from my perspective, if the left could unite in making people's lives better and having practical plans instead of sitting around and reading theory and yelling at people on the internet. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I am now going to look at the comments. Yeah. I've got pothole politics is something I love from him because that's how most people interact with government. Yes, thank you. This is exactly right. Like, people aren't reading theory. People aren't on, in leftist Twitter /Blue Sky /Thread /Mastodon circles. People are voting because the egg prices are high and there are potholes. And like, if you want to change the world, you do have to get people like that on your side. Like, a mass movement requires the goddamn masses. It's in the name. And the left loves to talk about this, but it's like, and yet they don't care at all about appealing to the masses. I get very upset about this. Perhaps you can tell. Sewer socialism, great place to start. There's a valid argument that cities run by Democrat, usually corporate Dems, have not been a good advertisement for the Democratic Party. Bill, that is the truest shit. Yeah, I think that's actually a huge problem. Like, you have Democrats running on a platform that more or less, I don't know, progressive is a strong word, frankly, especially now. But okay, for decades, right? You did have Democrats calling themselves progressives and saying that they were going to do stuff and then getting in office and saying, like, this is why we can't do stuff. And you got a lot of corruption in Democratic run cities. That's just true. Now, part of that's because it's the city, and cities are there are more opportunities for corruption. I'm not saying it's the Democrats' fault exactly. But I would agree that has actually really soured people on the Democrats. And frankly, I'm pretty sour on the Democrats. I don't really love how the National Democratic Party, not like hashtag not all Democrats, there are some Democrats, especially locally, that are doing great things. But you look at how useless these people are. Like I've got an article coming out in October about how end times prophecy is influencing our government. It'll be in the New Republic. And the short answer is more than one might like, and the longer answer is much, much, much more than one might like. But I was talking to one of the people that I interviewed for this project. His name is Matthew Taylor. He wrote a book called The Violent Take It by Force, which I can also wholeheartedly recommend. About ostensibly about how these Christian nationalists basically made J6 possible, but also just kind of a history of a very specific kind of Christian nationalist movement, the New Apostolic Reformation, which has a lot of power in DC right now, distressing about since they believe that they're apostles and prophets and that they are going to bring about Jesus' second coming by making the world into a Christian, I guess, nations. Anyway, one thing that he said to me during our interview that's really stuck with me is that there are a lot of people who believe in democracy and the Constitution and a society that isn't run by Trump, etc., who are very convinced that disillusioned Republicans are going to vote Democrat. And he, like me, is not at all sure that's true. It is very possible that these people are going to run to figures like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and God help us, Nick Fuentes. These are people who like the MAGA agenda, but they don't like what Trump is doing. And they believe that the war in Iran, for example, or cooperation with Israel is like, if you take that out, then we're going to have paradise on earth. Their little like 1950s advertisement paradise of only white people and absolute sheer brutality and the essential enslavement of women and the elimination of minorities and the extermination of transgenderism and all that shit. Like, people are really radicalized. And I do worry that the Democrats are complacent because they're so sure that there's only the two options. And I'm not at all sure that's true. And yeah, yes, Hillary Clinton being backed by pork. Hillary Clinton is like exhibit A of Democrats being bad advertisements for progressivism. Uh, I voted for her. I have no regrets. I got real drunk to do it, though. Just, I don't know. What the hell are you going to do? Um, the 3 times fooled Trump voter would vote for Trump a 4th time. It's possible. I will say, I think that's true for some of them. I do think, though, that like gas prices going up and this war in Iran have soured people on Trump in a way that's real. And honestly, the Epstein files as well. Like, it wasn't as catastrophic for him as I'd hoped, but it did open the door for criticism in ways that I think are bearing fruit with every subsequent fuck up that this man does. And I don't just mean like fuck up in the moral sense, of which that is every day, but fuck up as in like shit that somebody who barely pays attention to the news is going to notice. And a lot of people voted for Trump because the egg prices were high. I talked to a lot of people who did. I think a lot of polling shows that that's the case. And these same voters who voted for Trump because the egg prices were high are going to vote for not Trump because the egg prices are high. Whether that's the Democrats or not, we shall see. So that is the question. Those are the questions that I got. Does anybody in the chat have anything else they'd like to talk about? And I will now wait because there's just huge delay in me talking and you seeing what I'm saying. So there's just going to be an awkward little pause here. But oh, one on Substack. Thank you, Bill. I will check that right now. Oh, for fuck's sake. Here it is. We are, no, God damn it. Stop it. It's very effective, by the way, to talk to the computer. It makes it work better. Hi, Laura. Do you know Matt Simon or Sam Adler-Bell, who do the Know Your Enemy podcast? More generally, how big is the circle of leftist journalists in New York City, and how balkanized is it? I don't know them personally. I'd love to. I'm familiar with Know Your Enemy podcast. It's a podcast, one of those. I have a very large category of podcasts that I really like and don't listen to enough because there's a lot of shit out there, and also I get tired. And Know Your Enemy is like at the top of that. I think it's a great podcast. I don't know them personally. I would like to. Balkanized isn't quite the right word. It's not that like we're all like secretly rallying against each other or anything like that. It's not that there's rivalries, but it is, I mean, if there's like a group of lefty journalists, I haven't quite found it yet. Partly that's my fault. I don't go outside enough. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I do have some social anxiety. I'm working on it. Um, but yeah, I do wish there was more community for lefty journalists, and because a lot of people are doing really great work. I mean, a lot of people do know each other, right? Like, I mean, I know several. I won't like name names just in case, but like there are people that I'm in touch with in New York and beyond it who do great work. I mean, fuck it. Amanda Moore is like an incredible journalist who I follow and who like I know, we've hung out. Few other people like that. There are people who are internet friends. But yeah, I do wish there was more community, and it's something that I'm thinking about a lot, not just with journalists, but just generally. I know everyone talks about building community. It's everyone knows it has to happen. No one's quite sure how to. People have ideas how to do it, and it's happening, but it's like difficult. What I'm trying to say is this is one of the things that I'm going to be thinking about when I go off into the woods for a month. I've got a lot of things that I want to think about. It's a vacation, but it's a working vacation. So yeah, great. Yeah, great question. I wish it was a little bit more together. Let's see here. Ooh, Natalie Harp. I think it's really funny that John Ossoff was like, Trump would rather travel with Natalie than deal with shit. And the immediate reaction on the right was, how dare you say Trump is having sex with Natalie Harp? He didn't say that, guys. That's not what he said. It's just like my she's not having sex with Trump shirt is provoking a lot of questions already answered by the shirt, you know? Um, yeah, I'm seeing in the chat like iPad, I've heard human typewriter, Binky seems fairly accurate. Yeah, I think that there is something real weird about it. By which I mean, like, from like a regular human perspective, it's actually not weird at all that Trump would want like a generically attractive 30 something to follow him around and tell him that he's like the best thing ever and that she loves him so very, very much and that he's so good and happy and kind. Like, of course, he'd want that. And frankly, it's probably a refreshing change of pace from Melania, who, like, say what you want about Melania, and there's lots to say. I do enjoy how much she just clearly despises her husband. I really enjoy that personally. I'm sure Trump does not. I'm sure he's delighted to have a small blonde conventionally attractive person. I'm not going to talk shit about Natalie Harp's appearance because I'm trying to be a good person. It's really hard. Somebody give me a gold star participation trophy for what a good job I'm doing being like a decent person right now. Anyway, okay, yeah, we've got Natalie's background is pretty interesting. Her leftist brother told the media she's basically trying to replace her father who died when they were young. Oh boy. Oh, well, daddy issues tracks. That tracks. Yeah. Um, I will be interested to see how it goes for her because, like, one of the things that Trump and I have in common, one of the few things I like to think that Trump and I really see eye to eye on, like 100% agreed, how much we both hate people who suck up to Trump. Like, neither of us can stand those motherfuckers. It is very amusing to me how much Trump hates them. There's a reason that he, like, gazes up at Zoran Mamdani like he's got a crush on him and, like, insults Lindsey Graham at his funeral. It's great. So I wonder how that'll work out for Natalie. I mean, she does have the advantage of having other uses, I would imagine. Yes, I am now accusing Natalie Harp of having sex with Trump or something related. Sex is a very large category. It's not just PIV. Who the fuck knows what they're going up to? I'm not going to think about it anymore. Um, Cringeworthy. She does look a little like Ivanka. She does. It's so good that we have a president who's going after pedophilia. I'm really glad that we elected the anti-pedophile president. Not creepy at all. Yeah, but I do really enjoy how much this is bothering them, and I have very I it's good to see this. I've seen some people on social media just being like, "Hey, seems like this is really bugging them. Let's keep on going." And like, yes, that is the correct answer. That is absolutely right. Please, let's do that. Um, yeah, so there's Natalie Harp. Anything else? So I take a large sip of water. Yeah, it does seem like this country is run by pedophiles, and one of the more disturbing things about the Epstein files, which is a hell of a statement because it's all like the worst shit imaginable. And this isn't like the worst shit imaginable in the sense that it hurts somebody. So but it is something that I can't stop thinking about. The thing where Epstein met with the owner of 4chan and they had a talk, and then QAnon happened. And like, what better way to distract from the pedophilic cabal of the elite who is running things than to start the most preposterous conspiracy campaign about a pedophilic elite that is running everything? And then to cast that pedophilic elite as not the guys actually doing the thing. Like, I've been reading a lot of Sarah Kendzior lately. She's got some really in-depth reporting on how long this has been going on. It seems like this is a pretty big problem. It seems like there's a quote that she has by Karl Rove, and I'm going to fuck it up. This is a paraphrase. Look it up. If you feel like it. I'm not telling you what to do, but like, if you want the real quote, look it up. Otherwise, here goes. It was something like Karl Rove in like 2008. When somebody asked him some question, he was like, look, we're creating reality and y'all are reacting to it. And by the time you're done reacting to it, we'll have created a new reality. And that is kind of what's happening. It sounds insane to say, it sounds conspiratorial, but the fact is, there is a group of people who are well connected with more money than God, who are shaping the reactive world that we live in. Like, I think there's a reason that every single day we wake up to some new horror, some new crisis, and it's never about those. That's not true. It's not never about those people, but oftentimes it's not really about the people who are doing this. They want us to be reacting. They want us to be frantically trying to hold the ground we have and reacting to the realities they create. And again, one of the reasons I'm going into the woods is to really try to think about that, because like, if we just keep reacting, if I just keep writing about things that have happened, like, I mean, look, it's fine. I'm not saying it doesn't do any good. I like to think it does, but that's not really the problem, is it? Like, there's plenty of content out there. There's a lot of really good content, like there's a lot of really good writers. There's a lot of good podcasts. There's a lot of videographers. There's a lot of really good books. There's a lot of good journalism. And yet, here we are, because these people are doing it on a higher level than that. And I've been thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about it nonstop. And I'm not saying there's an answer, that I'm going to come up with an answer. Probably not, right? But I 0% chance if you don't try. So it's something I've been thinking about a lot. Let's see here. We've got, how's your inbox faring all the fundraising emails? Oh boy. Yeah, they remain insane. We have not yet had a Trump fundraising letter nearly as psychotic as ICE is going to audit you if you don't give me money, which is one that I got like 6 months ago. I mean, yeah, there is sickness and then there's whatever the fuck that is. But I you know what? I'm gonna pull some up right now. They're not hard to find. Let's see here. What do we got? All right, we've got the latest one. President Trump via the Oval Office. Don't make me work the graveyard shift alone. I'm working late in the Oval Office tonight. I'm taking time to reach out to several of my top supporters. None of my advisors, foreign diplomats, or the fake news media are here still. Yes, we are. It's just you and me tonight. With midterm elections less than 100 days away, I'm looking for important answers to important questions. I'm hoping to see your responses come in within the next 5 minutes. And then, of course, when you click, it asks you some questions and asks you how much you want to donate. That's the kind of shit we're getting here. Incredible stuff. We've got one about how if you don't vote Republican in the midterms, they're going to impeach Trump. Please don't do that. Also give us money. We've basically there's a sort of desperation, definitely. Your donor status was just viewed by President Trump. He's concerned. I can't do this without Laura. And by the way, I can't do this without all uppercase Laura and lowercase because, whatever. Anyway, they just can't be asked, I suppose. From Team Trump, here's a transcribed message from the 47th president. From Trump, quote, is everything okay with Laura? Laura played a huge role in my successful victory in the 2024 presidential election, but I haven't heard a whisper from my favorite supporter in months. This isn't like Laura. Will you reach out and make sure that everything's all right? Does Laura still stand with me, President Trump and the MAGA movement? Responded Trump. I can't afford to lose Laura because of a list mistake. See, it's a mistake. See, my love letters haven't been getting through, and he's just concerned. So that's what my inbox looks like right now. It is mostly Trump. The fun lines are different every time. Like, there's time sensitive Trump. That's when I get messages from. This is from Team Trump. That other one that I first read was President Trump via the Oval Office. We've got interview with Trump. They keep asking, telling me that my interview with Trump, that I just missed it like 5 minutes ago. What I'm trying to tell you is that these people are fucking insane. Um, I am really sad to learn, because I'm weirdly not on Democratic fundraising lists. I don't actually know why that is. I genuinely, like, I have voted blue no matter who. I've done my thing. I'm a registered Democrat. You would think that I would get them. I don't. But I have learned that apparently a lot of these scummy tactics are also being used by the Democratic Party, and these emails target seniors, lonely seniors who aren't quite thinking as clearly as they might, or maybe don't understand the internet. I should find this article and post it somewhere. Someone gave like $750,000 because they were sure that if they didn't, Trump was going to like do what he's doing. It is insane how extractive everything has become. And yeah. Hold on one second. I'm embarrassed to tell you, we've got a question. Any chance that the Epstein files produced a Daniel Eisenberg? That name is really familiar. I'm going to confess that I'm going to look it up right now. And I'm going to feel really silly when I remember who that is. Or I won't. Or I will not know who that is. Oh, Ellsberg. That's why, because I can't read because I'm blind. Okay. Oh, Pentagon Papers. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. God, I hope so. I don't know. I'm going to be a negative Nancy, and I want to apologize for that, because I know good things can happen and have happened despite my constant pessimism. But would it do any good at this point? Like, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, the problem is that we don't know. We do. Like, we've had so many of these. We had the Pentagon Papers, we had the Panama Papers, the Snowden revelations. Whatever you think of Snowden's terrible choice to go to Russia, people didn't know that shit, and then they did, and it really, caused quite the stir. And then everyone went back to normal. It's like the more dystopian things get, the more difficult it is to shock people. And that's really troubling. Like, for a really long time, I think there's been this idea that, like, if we can raise enough awareness, that things will happen. And I am not at all convinced that's true. And it's not because people don't care. They care a lot, but nobody knows what to do. And it's not obvious what to do. Like, what are we going to, like, okay, protesting in the streets. We tried that in 2020, and you see how that turned out. Like, the protests are about reforming, defunding, abolishing the police. One of those, pick whichever one you like the best. None of those things have happened. The police are more violent, and they, across the nation, have more money, not less. So protesting, difficult sell. And then, you've got the Palestine protests, the, anti-genocide protests that were cracked down on with extreme prejudice. And, a lot of people got really messed up. Something I was going to mention about Charlie Kirk that applies to this as well, which I'd forgotten about. A lot of the people who got, not all, some people had their careers ruined because they protested what Israel is doing in Gaza. But a lot of people, some people got it back. Some people had things restored. Some people were able to re-enter journalism. Some people, I believe, were able to graduate, although I'm not 100% sure on that. And similarly, with Charlie Kirk, the firings that happened, people getting fired for saying that they were glad Charlie Kirk was dead, or whatever, or quoting him, for fuck's sake, quoting actual words he said. Those people, some of them, someone just brought on a giant lawsuit. But what was their year like? Like, imagine what they've gone through this past year. And for people who live paycheck to paycheck, even if you're going to win in the end, if you can get a pro bono lawyer to take your case, and if you can get the right kind of media publicity, and if the justice system continues to more or less function, which to be fair, it more or less is, but can you and your family survive missing 3 months of paychecks or, a year, but like 3 months for fuck's sake? Like most people can't. And this is why it's so hard to know what to do, because a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people don't have the bandwidth. And if you ask someone to choose between their kids and sticking their neck out for a cause, a lot of people are going to choose their kids. You can have whatever opinion about that you want. I think it's pretty natural. Like we're pretty hardwired to take care of our kids, and it's actually good to take care of your kids. And it's just like really, it's hard. It's a big ask, especially when there's not like a clear way forward. And I think that the number one priority right now, good God, do I talk a lot? I apologize. But like the number one thing to do, I think right now is to try to figure out what to do, not how to get the message out, but what to do. I think people will be more receptive to the message if there's a clear thing to do. Because right now the options are, you either are aware of this and you have a terrible time and you are sad a lot and you are mentally unwell, or if you shrug and do your best to go about your day. And it's a hard ask is all I'm saying. It's a hard ask. Um anyway, so yeah. Any thoughts on the cyclos oh my God, cyclosporiasis. I keep mispronouncing it. A cyclosporiasis outbreak, the fishy nature surrounding Taylor Farms. Not super informed thoughts, honestly. My thoughts are no more informed than most people's. That sounded really arrogant. What I'm trying to say is I don't have any special knowledge or insight on this, but I think my, extremely lukewarm take is that when you dismantle the government and put RFK Jr. in charge of this shit, then yeah, it's going to be hard to track stuff. I don't actually know a lot about the fishy nature surrounding Taylor Farms, and when I get off, I'll look it up. And if you want to put it in the comments, you should do that also. I admit I have not been following this too closely. I am afraid I may be guilty of what I just described. Like, do I want to worry about getting parasites and diarrhea, or do I want to enjoy a salad? I'm going to be so real with you. I've been enjoying the salads. I may regret it, but that's what I've been doing. So, but yeah, I will read up on the Taylor Farms thing. I know that there's been talk about it. It seems like they have failed to trace or contain anything that's happening. It seems like everything is getting a lot worse health-wise. Between the measles outbreak and this and the return of screwworm, which is a very funny name for a worm. Not as funny, the reality of it, but yeah, it turns out the government actually does a lot. And this, incidentally, to go back to the Zoran Mondani thing, or the electoralism ruining the appetite for revolution thing. It's actually kind of awesome to be like, well, the guys who are like allegedly the responsible adults who think that government doesn't work, but private companies do. And if we just get rid of the government, then private companies will step up and we'll live in a capitalist paradise. And now we have to worry about diarrhea parasites versus the horrible Islamic communist who runs New York City, and now the potholes are fixed and we're getting, slowly but surely we're getting free childcare and the things are getting better. Got a utopia, but getting better. So yeah. Oh, good. Okay, we got it. Excuse me. Thank you. Taylor Farms is a privately owned company with farms in Mexico, led by a Trump donor. Also, food safety in the U.S. is very favorable to corporate self-regulation, i.e., no surprise inspections. Yeah. Wow. That. I am going to be so real. I am not shocked. I did not know that, but I am not shocked to learn that. That does make sense. Yeah, this is what happens. This is what happens. Like, they're kind of scrapping America for parts a little. I don't think they care. Like, it is not in their, it's not even like, it's just, they just don't care. Like, if a bunch of plebs get diarrhea, who gives a shit? No pun intended. Like, if measles takes out some kids, well, AI is going to take all our jobs anyway, right? So who cares? Like, they don't care. And I think that is why we're kind of in a moment that's ripe for something. hard to know what, but I do think, like, people are beginning to realize that, like, they are, in the eyes of the elite, disposable, and people will put up a lot with a lot of shit if they can live and be reasonably happy or some facsimile of it. But when you start talking about them not being able to have jobs anymore because AI will take it, and, like, you know, when these things start to happen, when it's pay to play and you can, I guess, give people diarrhea if you're a Trump donor. I mean, I know that's probably a simplification, but yeah, or, when corporations own the government and then they get to just kind of, yeah, the self regulation. I mean, not just in food safety, but all over, you know? Yeah, people, people are upset and they don't always know who to blame. They blame some real weird people. It's weird stuff, but they're right to be upset. People are right to be upset. So, yeah, the jungle redux, absolutely correct. God. Um, yeah, this also leads into abusive practices of migrant farmers. Yeah. Um, Not the first person to point this out, but it is a little bit distressing that, like, a lot of the defense of allowing immigrants to work in America is, but who will pick our crops? Who will clean our toilets? Like, I mean, not ideal that we're putting people in those circumstances, not ideal that we run off of what I'm going to just go ahead and call indentured servitude or something very much like it. Yeah. Um, no, the system is very much set up for extraction of wealth and funneling it to the top, and it is working as intended. Um, I got most of my farms in for someone called Farm to Tabor, who's a farmer who calls out how farmers now are basically rich landowners who inherit their wealth. I should look into that, and I shall. God help us. Yeah, no, the American farmer myth is fun, isn't it? It's a fun little myth. Yeah, all right. So this has been going for a little bit. If anyone's got anything else, happy to talk about it. Otherwise, I may wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, I'm gonna take a long sip of water while the feed catches up. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Nice question. New York is great. My hair is wet because I got caught in the rain. I forgot that you have to bring an umbrella. Um, that was very silly. In Portland, you just wear a raincoat, and you're usually fine. Like, it's famous for rain, but in New York, it will pour down on you like one of those old shower heads, like not the new ones where it's like water pressure limited, but the old kind, and just absolutely destroy your hair. So, other than that, though, it's been absolutely great. It's really nice to be back. It's been a little weird going from, I mean, suburbia, Portland suburbia, living a very circumscribed existence, not really leaving the house a lot, and being in a somewhat intense situation to back in New York with friends who did not go through anything like that, and trying to kind of like reassimilate back into the place that I lived and loved has been odd. But that being said, it is great to be home. It is great to just be able to see the city and feel that thrum and that, the go get itness of it all. People are here because they're hungry. It's a place that you have to live on purpose. I really like that. Like, New York does not welcome you home with open arms. New York does not give a fuck whether you live in it or not. You have to live here on purpose, which means that everyone here on a long enough timeline is living here on purpose. And that's what I really love about the city more than anything, I think, is that if you live here, you're here for a reason. You're here because you want something, you want more. And I really like that environment. So it is good to be back. I'm a little sad that I'm immediately going to be, fucking off into the woods, and I have to go back to Portland to take care of some stuff there anyway. But I am really excited about, returning in late October, just in time for the midterms, and living here for real. So yeah, it's good. And on that cheerful note, I am going to call it a day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for everything, all of you. Like, I could not. I don't know. Everyone, people who write because they want people to read their shit, and you're reading the shit, and thank you. It's awesome. Also, just like the comment section and the questions I get are such a cut above everywhere else I see. Like, it's astounding. So thank you all for being so cool. You make me feel like I'm doing something right to, like, attract such wonderful people. I would not say it if I didn't think it was true. I can be pretty harsh. So thank you, all of you. Um, all right. Have a good night, everybody. I'll, try to do one of these not, like, in 6 months, but shorter than that when I come back. So thank you. Everyone have a good night. Oh my god. Fuck it. Don't look at me. I don't know why I'm